Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode of the Aftermath series. Let us waste no time at all and dive right into this week's episode of Critical Role. Now the main focus of this episode is going to be on Ford and Avantika, so let's start with that spicy conversation that they had. In the conversation, it's clear that Avantika is sort of a fanatical, as Ford put it. From the weird blood ritual she did to the way she talked about Ukatoa, the patron. It's just very clear that she's obsessed with pleasing this patron. And a few interesting things to note. The first, when she revealed that she had an eye on her palm, she stated that this was the first stage. The first stage of what? Transformation? Her reward? Power? Is Ford in the first stage as well? My guess to the last question is yes. It seems as though Ford is in a similar state as Avantika, albeit Avantika does know quite a bit more information than Ford does about this whole situation. Avantika also informed Ford of what will happen if he helps her complete her quest, and that is power over the seas. Now Ford showed interest in this power not only towards Avantika, but also in the dream that he had. In the dream, when he was presented with ships sailing towards him, he was a bit hesitant at first, which sort of mirrors how he is outside of the dream. He's a bit worried about having too much power, but he's curious. And with that curiosity, he sort of tested or dabbled with the power within the dream. And then upon seeing what it could do, something changed. He wasn't afraid of the power anymore. He seemed to sort of relish it. And given what he told Avantika and what he did in his dream, he chose to lie to the party about his goals and the dream that he had. He claims that he doesn't want power over the seas. However, it's very clear that if the power is readily available, he will likely not hesitate to take it. But given all of this information, why is Ford the chosen? Is it random? Or is he still holding something back? Holding information that would likely shine a new light on this whole scenario? Or is it something deeper? We know that from Avantika, Ukatoa is trapped and needs a way to escape, or be released. Perhaps the patron chooses those who feel a similar way. They feel trapped, they desire power over others, so that they may punish those who have done them wrong. Maybe he chooses someone who seeks revenge, like the patron seeks revenge on those that imprisoned him. He possibly chooses those that will willingly and likely blindly follow orders, as we saw Ford doing also in his dream sequence. If you take all of those reasons I just stated, it's pretty obvious why Ford would be a chosen. And why is Avantika a chosen? Well, we've seen the way she acts and the way she sort of handled sharing this information and realizing that Ford was also a chosen. She's a very fanatic person, and it is very likely that she is blinded by loyalty and will gladly obey any orders that the patron asks of her. But who is this third chosen that Avantika spoke of? Most people have probably come to the conclusion that it is Vandarin, and that is most likely the case, considering the dream that Ford had many episodes ago about Vandarin sort of jamming the eye into his chest and then summoning the falchion. But Vandarin might not be the person Avantika had spoke of, because in that same dream that Ford had about Vandarin was standing over the body of what Matt described as the previous owner of the eye. So it's possible that whoever Vandarin killed was the chosen, but there's not too much stock in that theory. Since Vandarin had the falchion already, so it's more likely that the person Vandarin killed was a thief trying to steal the eye, and Vandarin was merely defending himself and simply killed him. Other than that, we don't really know too much about Vandarin. We do know that he was Ford's mentor, and Ford looked up to him, which also just strengthens the fact that Vandarin is the other chosen. He wanted Ford to be ready for when he was gifted the powers from the patron. Or is there something else happening here? Perhaps when you are a chosen, you're able to choose a successor in case you die. Assuming there is only one falchion, it would seem that Vandarin was the previous owner, and considering it's bound to you, one would have to assume that you would have to die in order to pass it on to someone else. It's very possible that Vandarin did die in the sabotage of the ship that Sabian had caused, and in Vandarin's final moments, he wanted to pass on and maybe pleaded with the patron and told him to pass on the falchion and the gifts to Ford. Now, all of this is speculation, of course, and I'm sure we are going to be getting some much-needed answers in the next episode. Now, a few things to think about before we wrap up. Where does Sabian fit into all of this? What are his reasons for sabotaging the ship? Is Avantika manipulating Ford to a certain extent? You know, she said to Ford that she hoped he slept well the night before. Most likely meaning that she knows he had some kind of a dream that involved having power over the seas. It's also possible that she planted that dream into his head in order to sway him to her side when the moment comes. In any case, I believe we are closing in on a climax for Ford's arc, and if not that, we are very close, as I said before, to some answers to some questions that we've had for a very long time. Anyways, that is going to be it for that episode. There were some other things that happened, but you know, the main focus was sort of Ford and Avantika and this whole patron Ukatoa situation, so I wanted to mostly just talk about that. Everything else was really minor, you know. It's obvious Caleb is worried about Ford receiving these powers or his thoughts on it, since, you know, the party doesn't really know what his intentions are, and they really don't have any reason to fully believe him since he's taken this long to hold back information. So it would make sense that Caleb in particular is a bit hesitant on maybe wanting to support him, and it makes sense that he really wants to know, you know, what Ford's goals are. But I hope you all enjoyed the episode, and before I go, there's a few things that I want to talk about that I'm going to need your help with. This is something that I've wanted to do for a very long time, and it's something I'm extremely passionate about, and that is filmmaking. I desperately want to make live-action shorts for Critical Role. Words cannot describe how badly I want this to happen. There are a few issues though, the main one being budget. There really is none. I'm broke. However, I do have access to professional video and lighting equipment due to my connections with the studio I work for, but I am still in dire need of actors and actresses, costumes, possibly makeup design, sets, locations. These are all extremely important things, and if anyone can lend a hand, or knows someone that can lend a hand, or if any of you can point me in the right direction to make some of these things happen, I would be eternally grateful. And if there's any actors or actresses or any of these people that I just listed before, feel free to reach out to me. I'll leave my Twitter DMs open, and I'll leave a link in the description below to my Twitter. Doing something like this has been a dream of mine for I don't know how long. You know, there's so many talented artists out there that make just amazing pieces of work, you know, songs, paintings, just pictures for the show. I'm absolutely blown away by the talent there is out there. Things that I would never be able to do. There's also far better highlight channels out there, and I don't think my discussion videos are that great when compared to some of the other ones out there as well. But I believe that making Critical Role live action shorts is something that I can proudly contribute, and I'm able to contribute to the community. It's something that I want to put 110% focus and effort into. I just need the help. I can't do it on my own. So please, if anyone is willing to lend a hand, please let me know. As I said before, I'd be so grateful for that. Now, the last thing I want to talk about is real quick, and that involves the highlight video for this week. As we are all aware, there were some technical difficulties with the live stream that we had. With that being said, I'm going to wait to see if there's a cleaner version of the episode that gets released, and if there is, I will use that one, since I would rather have a nice clean version with none of those audio things, or at least minimal audio issues, to make a highlight from, so that way it can be enjoyable for everyone. However, if there is a clean version released, it's possible that depending on when it is released, the highlight video will be a day or two late. But if they do not end up releasing a cleaner version due to not being able to fix it, you can expect the highlight video the usual day on Monday. But with all of that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of your weekend, and I will see you all next week.